So Leicester City 0, Arsenal 2. And super duper Mick Marino off the bench as a super sub. Who knew that he could play up front? Well, super duper Mick knew that he could play up front. And Matty, I'm surprised we're still awake. Yeah, I think we all had a bit of a late one last night, and I think we all woke up a little bit late for the game. And I think the players probably did the same, mate, because that was awful. Yeah, the only player, apart from Marino, who obviously won the game for us with 2 cracking goals, the only player that I actually thought played really well today was Ethan. Yeah, other than that, that was just boring, man. Rice done all right, but it weren't pretty. But make sure you sub to Southern Guna, and the link will be in the title. But Matt, you've come prepared, man.
Yeah,
What are you saying?
bring it up, Lee. Bring it up for me. Bring it up. Bring it up for me. Bring it up for me. Ladies and gentlemen, we are papering over the cracks. We are papering over the cracks. If you believe that today it's going to happen for the rest of the year, then I've got 2 bridges. Not one. I've got 2 bridges for sale right now. Inbox me right now. Just go to Southern Guna and hit me up, and I will make sure I get those bridges for you. Lee, that was absolutely shambolic, man. That was absolutely shambolic what we saw today, man. That first half of football was absolutely dire. Absolutely dire. I for me, watch Marino, which his second goal was really good, by the way. To have to watch him score after spending 800 million 5 years into a process. A transfer window when we absolutely needed a striker, and that was highlighted by him playing today. You look at Odegaard out there today. You look at Saliba, who his mind is he's clearly thinking about Madrid. They have gotten to him. He is clearly thinking about Madrid. He's starting to regress. You know, the major shining light outside of those 2 goals today for me is Ethan Waneri. Ethan Waneri today. If there's any coaches that watch this, they'll look at that, and anybody that's a coach knows what I'm talking about, the eye test. And when you see him play, he plays like he's been around the league for 10 years. He moves like he's been around the league for 10 years.
Mm.
The cross he laid off for Marino to score today. That was one of the best. That was one of them tyranny crosses that we be talking about. That was one of the best crosses I've seen delivered this year. Out of all the games I watched, it was one of the best crosses. And if you go back on the watch along, you'll actually hear me say, "Oh, this should be a goal. This should be a goal. Look at it. This should be a goal." The 2 passes that Marino did get today, I said, "Oh, these should be goals," because they were put where they needed to be. If we did not have him in this team and Skelly for saving us today, we'd be in major trouble. Now, there's a section of the fan base that's going to go over the top. We already know this. They're going to go over the top. You know, we've seen the RVP comparisons, Giroud, Nelka, all this kind of stuff you've been hearing. You know, this was against a team that's given up 55 goals this season, the most in the league. They've given up 55 goals. They've got 2 aging strikers. Excuse me, 2 aging strikers who are clearly on their best days are behind them. You know, anybody that watched Vardy 6 years ago, you know what I'm talking about. Anybody that watched IU 6, 7, 8 years ago, you know what I'm talking about. They're clearly past it. And speaking of clearly past it, let's go over here because I think you know where I'm going to go. Clearly past it. Raheem Sterling. I told y'all in January to call the loan on Raheem Sterling. Call the loan. Go find another loan. They're talking about free options. We could have went free in January. We could have went and got somebody for free in January. But the fact that you're looking for it now, it shows that you know that we have a problem. You knew it all along. But we've been doing just like I'm dressed today in my construction outfit. We've just been papering over the cracks. We've been papering over the cracks, Lee. And we have done it all season long. And we're going to continue to do it again. Now, what we got this Marino situation is this is another Havertz hope session. We're hoping that he's going to come out next week against West Ham, gives us a goal here. We're hoping that he's going to show up. This is the hope strategy in the real time. We're hoping that he's going to do. We're hoping. All this did for me was to show me that if we would have actually went out and got a striker that was 6'2", 6'3", and that could actually hold the ball up and move, we probably would be in a better situation. This is all this is showing. I want people to understand that all you're seeing here is that if we would have went out and actually bought someone like a Mamouche who's sitting on a hat trick today, or went out and bought, a Jokeris, or went out and actually did the business.
Well, Chris Wood scored again today. Ollie Watkins has scored today.
Yeah, Ollie Watkins again today. Chris Wood, went out and actually went out. And
Liam Delap scored for Ipswich today.
It brought in the Players League.
Hmm.
We would probably be having a different discussion. I would actually feel pretty confident. But because we're going to go through another period of inconsistent play. You can't rely on Trossard. You can't rely on Sterling. The only person you can rely on right now is Ethan Winier. And clearly we're going right back down that route where everything goes through him. Because clearly you can take the eye test, you can clearly look. I mean, Declan Rice had a fairly decent game today. But I mean, outside of that, man, I mean, what are we talking about here, Lee? This today, it went on warm weather training here to Dubai. In the first 20 minutes, the first half of that game. The first half of that game was shocking. It was shocking. It was as if they just came from preseason, let alone Dubai. Like they came off of preseason training instead of going to warm weather training. The bottom line here, Lee, is that while we won today, which is good, we got the 3 points. Yay, yippee. Once we start getting into the business end of the season, which is in about 2 weeks here, we were March, April. I said this last year before that too, the year before that, March, April. This is when things are really going to start to count. When the pressure starts to ramp back up. There's no pressure right now. The pressure has to ramp back up. And once that pressure ramps back up, then we're going to see if Brother Mikel can score some more goals like that today. And if he did, hey, man, fair play to you. But this is something that I would look at and go, I'm not going to rely on. This is something you can't build a whole team around and rely on for the next 4 or 5 years. And I want people to understand that because our fan base tends to run off and they'll jump over the moon. Oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Would I start him next game? Yeah, because you're going to need it because I already know what Moyes is going to do. What Moyes is going to do. We know what he's going to do. He's going to put big men in the back. He's going to make it hard for you to break down. So, yeah. Now, the question is, Lee, is this brother going to be able to hold the ball up and move and go get in a position? See, now we figure it to see can he do that? He's going to have to, if he wants to sell himself, he's going to have to turn himself into a striker. He's going to have to turn himself into a striker. And it's going to be interesting to see because this is what Arteta's put himself in. And you know what, Lee? Fair play. The man, coach yourself out of it.
Yeah.
This is part of it. This is just part of it. But I want people to realize that don't get your hopes up thinking that we find a 30-goal striker in Mikel Merino because that's what the narrative is after this game today, is that we found the new this. We found the new that. We found the new RVP. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. We got 13 more games, and you're going to have to require help from everybody else. And I'm here to tell you, we've got some serious fixtures coming down the pipe, including that Champions League, whoever we play in the Champions League. So, hey, I'll tell you what, we'll take the win. It was ugly as hell. That was an ugly win today. Ugly. Don't let anybody fool you who didn't watch that game and tell you, oh, man, we took it. No, we didn't. We did not. We were a skelly tap away from losing that
1-0 down, yeah.
Skelly tapped it away on a desperation tap. Because that was a tap in. Had he not been there, again, we are having a completely different discussion about Arsenal this afternoon. So everybody take easy to back a little bit. West Ham next week. I forgot who we got after that. Forest after
away.
that. And they're gonna be pissed off. I don't know if they were losing when I last looked, so I don't know if they still losing, but they're gonna be pissed off.
No, Chris Wood equalised.
Okay,
equalised. Oh, no, they're losing again. Bassi scored 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. So they're going to be pissed off, and so, like I said, we'll see what's going to happen with this whole Merino situation. But for me, don't hype this up, man. I'm glad we got the win, but as I've stated and as I'm wearing, we are papering over the cracks.
100%. So make sure you sub to Southern Guna. I'm going live in an emergency meeting right now. DJB, Jez, Northside, Rashid all going to join me. And we're going to discuss this further. So check that out straight away. But Matty, what you got coming up, man?
We'll be back on Monday for the show for Real Talk, and then I've got Tony Clark Gunner on Wednesday, and I'm waiting to confirm with Diluted. Me and Diluted gonna be together sometime this week, so we'll be chatting it up, and then possibly Pots on Tuesday. So we'll see.
Make sure you sub to Matt's channel, guys, and we're out. Funky out.